Hey everyone, my name is Bo Beatty with Wilderness Ridge Trail Llamas, and today we're going to do an overview of the Divide Series tent brought to you by Wilderness Ridge Trail Llamas and Snow Trekker. Again, this is the Divide Series tent. This is our smallest tent that we're going to be bringing to you. We call it the Mountain Den. It's 9.5 by 9.5 and weighs 14.5 pounds, the tent itself. This video is going to be informational and go over the specification and dimensions, and then we'll also do a setup for you today. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So everything that goes into making a tent, we've broken down into all the different weights and categories. And many times when you go to a manufacturer's website, it sometimes is confusing of what it is they're actually offering you, what everything weighs. And so we're trying to just simplify it so you know. So there's no questions when you leave this video, when you're done watching today, you know exactly what it is, okay? So we're just gonna go over all the pieces and components, what their dimensions are, what they weigh, and kind of give you some information about that. So we'll go ahead and dive into the tent itself. The tent all by itself, right here, it's 14.5 pounds. All right, this is a 6-ounce canvas. And this tent, we had it tested it this last fall up in Washington. And over 3 days, we had over 4 inches of rain with no rain fly. And this did not leak at the seams, did not leak at all throughout the canvas itself. And so it was pretty remarkable. So this is 14.5 pounds, the tent itself, and it's 9.5 by 9.5 with 2-foot vertical sidewalls, okay? And it has a frame, the internal frame, you can set this up using an A-frame if you'd like with lodge poles, but it comes with an internal frame that is ultra lightweight. And I'm gonna show you the internal frame. So you have, this is your ridge pole. You have your stays that go up in the front. They're 2 small blacks. And then you have 4 pieces that are that go to make your internal frame that are all your sidewalls. And so you see this pole right here, the bottom has a white stopper on it, and you have 4 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then these are your pull-outs. And so they go together like that, and they go on your sidewalls, and then they go vertical to keep your sidewall vertical. And they break down. So the cool thing about this frame is that, one, it's very packable. This frame breaks down to 22 inches. So the longest poles that you have are 22 inches long. And so you can pack this in any kind of pannier, bag. You can put it easily into your vehicle for transportation, and it's ultra lightweight. So the entire frame itself weighs 6.8 pounds. So it's extremely lightweight. These are all aluminum poles. They're very durable. We've tested it this last 2 seasons. Had a rain or a snowstorm of 12 inches of snow over one night, and we've had 16 inches of snow over one night. And the frame held up amazingly. So we're very happy about how it's performing in extreme conditions. Now, you have a couple other additional pieces. You have the guy ropes that are in addition. They have these clips that help pull out your sidewalls. You have your unions. Now this is part of the, we consider part of the frame. So these are included in the 6.8 pounds that are part of your frame. And then we have 16, 12-inch aluminum stakes. Now these are amazing stakes. They're our favorite that we've ever used. Whenever we bought other manufacturers' tents, we always bought these stakes to go along with them. So it just felt right to be able to provide these with this tent. And there's 16 of those, and they're 1.8 pounds, the stakes by themselves. Okay, so just an overview. You have a 14.5 pound tent. You've got the orange unions, including the frame at 6.8 pounds. And one of the cool things about the unions is they're ultra lightweight, and they have a hole right here on both of the unions. And so when your unions are set up in the top of your tent, you can put paracord from side to side and use it as a drying rack. And so it ends up being really, really nice to be able to have stuff up there. We've also hung lights from them a lot of times, and that makes it really nice. So it's just set up to have a nice, easy drying rack, and you don't have to use paracord. You can really use any cord you'd like. You have a carrying case for your frame and unions and your guy out ropes. And then over here, you have your ground tarp. Now the ground tarp is ultra lightweight material. It's very industrious. It's very heavy duty, but it only weighs 3.4 pounds. And so I really like this ground tarp. We've tried many different thicknesses, materials, and dimensions on the ground tarp, and we ended up with this. And it's pretty easy to place into your tent once you get your tent all set up. So the ground tarp, 3.4 pounds. And you don't have to buy this with your tent, but we recommend it. This is our llama panniers that we custom make at the Wilderness Ridge Trail Llama Ranch. And this is one side of a pannier. So the panniers are just the bags that the llamas carry. And this is basically what a tent looks like when it's all packed up. So you got the tent on this side, stakes and poles on top of your bag, and on this side you have your stove. And so the stoves that we recommend for this tent are made by Riley Stove Company in Montana. And the stove that I have right here, this is one of my favorite stoves. They call it the Little Amigo. Now this stove with a stovepipe and spark arrestor that they sell with it, this is the box spark arrestor, this is 12.5 pounds. So when you break your tent down, you have stakes, 16 of them, 1.8 pounds. You have your tent itself, 14.5. You have your unions, your guy out ropes, and your internal frame is 6.8 pounds. You have your ground tarp that is 3.4 pounds. And so when you add up all your tent components together, ends up being 26.5 pounds for your tent to be all ready to rock and roll and set up. Now this tent, when you fold it in thirds, will fit perfectly in a 4.5 gallon square bucket. It'll fill right up to the top of it. And so it's just really nice and convenient to carry your tent around in that bucket. And if you're packing them in panniers, they pack up really nice. So when you have your tent set up and you're running the Riley stove, the Little Amigo stove, your tent package all put up into this pannier is exactly 40 pounds. So pretty awesome setup. It's extremely lightweight for running a breathable canvas material that doesn't condensate, that has ports for ventilation if you need to, that you can run as a hot tent with a stove. And so I think that it fits a lot of different needs for folks out there. We're excited to offer it to you guys, and we'll go ahead and show you the setup right now. Okay everyone, this is step one for setting up your mountain den 9.5 by 9.5 canvas tent. Step one is to get your ground tarp position where you want your tent to go. Pretty simple. Basically, wherever you have your flattest spot, put your ground tarp there, and just make sure to remember where you want your stove to go, because this has a zip out for where your stove goes, and so you don't have to ever worry about burning this ground tarp. So we're gonna go ahead and set it up. I'm gonna have Marshall Anderson, my good friend, help me set this thing up. So step two to setting up your tent is getting your internal frame put together. So you're gonna just need a few components. You're gonna need your ridge pole, and you'll see on the ends of your ridge pole, there's no white stopper. So that's how you know it's your ridge pole. It's the only one that gets put together like this that has no stopper. You're gonna need both of your unions. They're gonna be orange and they're gonna have a hole in the bottom. And then you're also gonna need 4 vertical frame pieces, and they do have the white stopper at the end of one of the pieces. So you'll grab these 4, you'll grab your ridge pole, and you'll grab your union and a little piece of paracord to put together your internal frame. So what I like to do is to get my 4 vertical frame pieces that have the white stopper on them and put all those 4 together. So there's 1, this is number 2, and I keep all my white stoppers together. Number 3 and 4. Okay, so I got my 4 vertical internal frame pieces put together. Now I'm going to put together my ridge, and it does not have any stoppers on the end. I've got my 2 unions. So now we're just gonna go ahead and install everything. And when you install the ridge pole, You're gonna keep, basically the easiest thing to remember is just keep the hole on the bottom. Put it on this side and keep the hole on my union on the bottom. And now that we have it like that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put together this piece right here. Then we're gonna put the other vertical piece together here. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and do the other side. Okay, once you get the internal frame put together, adjust it to kind of where you want it to go or where the tent's going to end up with. And then what you want to do is tie this paracord to each of your unions and then just tighten it up, and that kind of helps your frame stay together while you're putting the canopy over the top. So we just did a little trucker's hitch. Now our frame is tight. We can go ahead and put our canvas on. Okay, so step 3 is putting your canvas over your internal frame. And it's important that you put all the stoppers in each of the corners. On each corner, 4 corners of this tent, there's a pocket. And the stopper, the white stopper on the bottom of your internal frame, and each corner goes inside of this pocket like this. And basically that helps you keep your tent perfectly taut and set up exactly how it's supposed to be designed to be set up. So that's step number 3. We're gonna go ahead and put this on. Okay, step 4 is setting up your 4 corner stakes and just making sure that everything is spread out in each direction as taut as you feel comfortable getting your tent. So we'll go ahead and put those in. So step number 5 is setting up your back wall and your 2 side walls. And what you're going to need is you're going to need your 1 single piece that's black. You're going to need your 3 guy out ropes, and then you're going to need your 4 golden pieces of external frame to putting up your sidewalls. So I'll show you how to put these together on step number 5. Okay, so this is the back of the tent. Opposite of the door, you have your small black piece that's 21 inches long, and you have your tent ports here. So these little ports, you just slide it right through there, and you want them kind of on the outside, just about 1 inch or so, and then has a spot in the middle for your S-clip to go and to hook on. And now what you want to do is you want to pull that pretty taut, make sure you have enough adjustability here so you can adjust this once it's really tight, and you put your stake in the ground. Okay, so once it's tight, or once the stake's in the ground, you'll tighten up your guy rope so you got some it's nice and taut. And then the back of your tent does not have a vertical bar here. So a lot of people ask, like, why doesn't it have a vertical bar? So it's not designed to have a vertical bar. So it has a little bit of flex to it, a little bit of give, and then what it does, it has the right slope to let the rain and snow come off it nice. So the back's all set up. There you go, there's no vertical post here, just the one that goes horizontal. Okay, now we're setting up one of the sidewalls. And so for each sidewall, you're gonna need 2 different gold rods to go through. And just like the back, on the side here, you're gonna just put it through the port, all the way through into the other port, and just leave a little overhang on each side. You're gonna grab your clip, then you're gonna stake it out. Right before you stake it out, you have another grommet right here. You have 1 grommet that your paracord goes through to tie up your guy rope, and then you have another grommet that you put your vertical post into it. And then your vertical post also goes in to where you put your last stake on the sidewall. And so what that does, it adds a tremendous amount of vertical wall strength, and then helps you keep that tent pitched really nice and tight so that you don't have to worry about anything collapsing or of your eave giving in at all. So it just keeps it really nice and tight. So this is step number 6, putting up the stays for your door. You just put these two pieces together. They're small and they're black and they go on the front of the door and they help to keep the door perfectly set up so when you're zipping it up and down that it all works nice and easy even when your tent is pitch tight. So you put your vertical stay in your bottom grommet and in your top grommet, and then you go ahead and pull your guide rope out and you stake it down. Okay, step number 7 is to put the last stakes in the ground. And so you put 2 in the front by the door, 1 on each side, and 1 in the back. Okay, step number 8 to setting up your tent is installing and tying in the ground tarp. So we designed the tent to be able to be used with a ground tarp or without a ground tarp. If you are going to be using the ground tarp, you have permanent cords tied into the tent right here. And so you can just tie on your ground tarp if you'd like to, which is pretty simple, or you can use our toggle pieces, or you can use our compression pieces. So there's 3 different ways to basically tie in your tarp, but you also don't have to tie in your tarp. You can just lay it down once your tent is taut, and it actually sits in here really nice. All right, so step 8 is putting in your stove. So before you can put in your stove, you have to open up your stove jack, and this is just Velcroed on, and you can take off the entire piece if you want, or you can simply just roll it up really nice and tight, and it folds up underneath of the canopy piece there. So let's go ahead and roll it up, attach it back up in there, nice and tall. That way it doesn't fall down or get burned. This is a 4-inch stove jack opening, so we have to go in and open up our ground tarp. All right, before we put our stove in here, we want to unzip our ground tarp. And I'm gonna undo the toggle switch over here. And I'll just kind of fold our floor. There we go. Now we're ready to put up the stove. Okay, that concludes our step-by-step process of how to set up the tents. And so you can use this same process to set up all 3 tents. They're just very subtle differences that are pretty self-explanatory. We set up the 9.5 by 9.5 today, and again, you can use the same process for setting up all 3 styles of our tents and all 3 sizes. So hopefully that was really helpful. If you have any additional questions, just go to our website, and we have a PDF that you can look at or download on your phone to take with you when you go and set up the tent for the first time. As always, you can reach out to us, and we hopefully you really enjoy the tent, get out there and enjoy the wild.